This Tuesday morning, I want you to breathe deeply and remember this. God will make a way for you today, even where you cannot yet see a way. You may be facing a situation that feels uncertain, a need that seems impossible, or a door that has remained closed for longer than you expected. But the Lord is already working ahead of you. His word says, "I will make a way in the wilderness." Isaiah 43:19. So as this new day begins, don't allow yesterday's disappointment to speak louder than God's promise. Be still for a moment, and let your heart rest in the presence of the One who knows exactly what you need. Perhaps you woke up carrying questions about provision, finances, your family, your future, or a breakthrough you've been praying for quietly. I want you to know that you don't have to carry those burdens alone. God sees what you cannot explain to anyone else. He knows the need behind the prayer, the tears behind the smile, and the desire deep within your heart. Before you take another step today, place everything into His hands. There is no problem too complicated for Him, no circumstance too difficult for Him, and no path so hidden that He cannot lead you through it. And as we pray together, I want you to release the pressure to figure everything out. You don't need to know every detail of how God will provide. You only need to trust the One who holds today and tomorrow in His hands. Sometimes God makes a way by opening a door you never expected. Sometimes He provides through people, opportunities, wisdom, favor, or divine timing. And sometimes He changes something within you before He changes something around you. Whatever His method may be, His faithfulness remains the same. The Lord will provide. Genesis 22:14. So, my friend, wherever you are right now, let your heart become quiet before God. If you are worried, give Him your worry. If you are waiting, give Him your waiting. If you need provision, place that need before Him. If you are believing for breakthrough, don't give up just because you cannot see movement yet. The God who made a way through the Red Sea, who brought water from the rock, and who has carried His people through impossible circumstances, is still God today. This Tuesday is not outside His care. There is grace for this morning, strength for this moment, and fresh mercy for whatever lies ahead. Before we begin this morning prayer, open your heart and simply say, "Lord, make a way for me today." If this prayer speaks to your heart, like this video, subscribe to the channel for daily prayer, and write Amen in the comments as an expression of your faith. And I want you to comment one thing you are believing God for today. Whether it is breakthrough, provision, healing, peace, favor, or an open door. Let us come before the Lord together now, quietly and confidently, trusting that He is already making a way. There are moments in life when you can see the road in front of you clearly, and there are other moments when you can only see a few steps ahead. Maybe this morning you are standing in one of those uncertain places. You know what you are praying for, you know what you need, and you may even know what you hope God will do, but you cannot see how He is going to make it happen. And that is where faith begins. Not when everything makes sense, but when you choose to trust God, even when you cannot see the way. This Tuesday morning, I want you to let your heart become still. You do not have to solve every problem before the sun rises. You do not have to carry tomorrow before you have even lived today. You do not have to understand every detail of God's plan in order to trust His heart. There are things God may be arranging right now that you cannot see. There are conversations you have not heard, opportunities you have not discovered, doors you have not yet approached, and answers that may already be moving toward you. Your responsibility is not to control the entire journey. Your responsibility is to remain close to God and take the next faithful step He places before you. Sometimes we become anxious because we want God to show us the whole road. We want to know exactly when the breakthrough will come, exactly how the provision will arrive, exactly who will help us, and exactly what tomorrow will look like. But God often gives us enough light for the step we are standing on. Psalm 119 to 105 says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." Notice that a lamp does not necessarily illuminate the entire road at once. It gives enough light for the next step. And perhaps that is what God is inviting you to do this morning. Take the next step. Pray the next prayer. Make the next wise decision. Trust Him with what you cannot see. Maybe you have been waiting for something for a long time. You prayed, you believed, you remained hopeful, and yet the situation still appears unchanged. I want to gently remind you that silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. What you cannot see does not mean God is not working. There are seasons when God works quietly, beneath the surface, preparing something that requires time. A seed does not become a tree in one morning. For a while, everything important is happening underneath the soil where your eyes cannot see it. In the same way, God may be developing something in your life that has not yet become visible. Do not measure God's faithfulness only by what you can see today. Measure it by who He is. He is still faithful when the bank account looks concerning. He is still faithful when the answer has not arrived. He is still faithful when the door you wanted remains closed. He is still faithful when you do not understand why a certain opportunity disappeared. His character has not changed because your circumstances changed. His promises have not become weaker because your emotions became tired. The God who carried you through yesterday is still holding you today. Perhaps you woke up this morning thinking about provision. There may be bills that need to be paid, responsibilities waiting for you, a financial need that has been weighing heavily on your mind, or a future that feels uncertain. Take that concern into God's presence. Do not allow fear to become your first counselor. Let prayer become your first response. You can tell God exactly what you need. You can speak honestly with Him. You do not have to pretend that everything is easy. Faith does not mean denying the problem. Faith means believing that the problem is not greater than your God. Maybe your breakthrough concerns something deeper than finances. Perhaps you are praying for restoration in your family. Maybe you need wisdom about a decision. Maybe you are waiting for healing in a relationship. Maybe you are asking God for direction in your work. Maybe you have been praying for peace because your thoughts have been restless. Whatever the situation may be, bring it before Him. The same God who cares about the great concerns of your life also cares about the small details that trouble your heart. Jesus taught us not to live consumed by worry about tomorrow. In Matthew 6, He reminds us that our Heavenly Father knows what we need. That truth can become an anchor for your soul today. God already knows. Before you explain it, He knows. Before you ask, He knows. Before you understand the situation yourself, He understands it completely. You are not informing God of a problem He has never seen. You are bringing your problem to the Father, who already knows everything about you and still invites you to trust Him. So breathe slowly this morning. Let your shoulders relax. Let the tension leave your hands. You are in God's presence. You can stop rehearsing every possible negative outcome. You can stop imagining every door that might close. You can stop asking yourself how you will make everything work. There is a grace available to you for today. You do not need tomorrow's grace this morning. God will meet you in today's moment with today's strength. There may be a way that you cannot see yet. There may be an answer that has not appeared yet. There may be a door that has not opened yet. But your inability to see it does not mean it does not exist. Think about Moses standing before the Red Sea. From his human perspective, there was no road ahead. Behind him was danger, and in front of him was an impossible barrier. Yet God was not limited by what Moses could see. The sea that looked like the end of the journey became the place where God revealed his power. Your Red Sea may look different. It may be a financial situation, a family challenge, a difficult decision, an unanswered prayer, or a season of uncertainty. But the principle remains. God is not limited by the obstacles that limit you. What looks impossible from your perspective is not impossible from his. You see the barrier. God sees the way through it. You see the closed door. God sees another entrance. You see the lack. God sees provision. You see the uncertainty. God sees the entire picture. And sometimes the way God makes is different from the way we expected. That can be difficult. We may pray for one specific outcome because we believe that is the only way forward. But God sees beyond our limited understanding. He may redirect you because he knows something you do not know. He may close something because he is protecting you. He may slow something down because he is preparing you. He may lead you somewhere unfamiliar because there is something there that you could never have discovered by remaining where you were. Trusting God means trusting his direction even when it differs from your preference. It means saying, Father, I have my plans, but I surrender them to you. I have my expectations, but I place them in your hands. I know what I desire, but I trust you to lead me toward what is truly good. That kind of surrender does not make you weak. It makes your heart peaceful because you are no longer trying to be your own provider, protector, and guide. You can trust God one day at a time. You do not need to manufacture perfect faith. Even a quiet prayer, whispered through tiredness, can be an act of faith. Lord, I don't understand, but I trust you. Lord, I don't see the way, but I believe you can make one. Lord, I am afraid, but I will not let fear decide my next step. These simple declarations can become anchors throughout your day. When worry returns later today, come back to this truth. God is already ahead of you. Before you arrive at that conversation, he is there. Before you face that decision, he is there. Before you encounter that challenge, he is there. Before you discover the opportunity, he is there. You are never walking into a moment that God has not already seen. So this morning, release the demand to know everything. Let God be God. Let him work in ways you cannot understand. Let him arrange what you cannot arrange. Let him open what you cannot open. Let him provide what you cannot provide. And as you move through this Tuesday, carry a quiet confidence in your heart. Not because you know exactly what will happen, but because you know the one who holds every moment of your day. And when you cannot see the way forward, you can still lift your eyes toward the one who sees the way completely, trusting that his wisdom is greater than your uncertainty. His provision is greater than your lack. His peace is greater than your fear, and his faithfulness is greater than anything you may face today. As you begin this Tuesday morning, let your heart settle into one simple truth. God knows what you need, and he is able to provide. You may not know where the answer will come from. You may not know when the door will open, and you may not understand how the situation will change, but you can rest in the character of the God who has never stopped caring for his children. Before you begin making plans, checking your responsibilities, thinking about your finances, or worrying about what this day might bring, pause for a moment and remember that your Father in heaven already knows your needs. There is something peaceful about knowing that you do not have to convince God to care about you. His love is not something you have to earn through perfect behavior. or perfect faith. He knows your circumstances completely. He knows the needs you have spoken about and the ones you have kept hidden in your heart. He knows the financial pressure you may be carrying. He knows the responsibilities waiting for you. He knows the things you are praying about for your family, your work, your future, and your personal life. Nothing about your situation has caught him by surprise. Jesus reminds us in Matthew 6 that our Heavenly Father knows what we need. Think about how comforting that is. God knows before the answer arrives. He knows before the opportunity appears. He knows before you see the provision. And because He knows, you can approach this day without living under the weight of constant fear. You can work faithfully while trusting Him. You can make wise decisions while trusting Him. You can continue praying while trusting Him. You can do what is within your hands and leave what is beyond your hands with God. There may be a specific need on your heart this morning. Perhaps you are asking God for money to meet an urgent responsibility. Perhaps you are looking for employment or praying for a new opportunity. Maybe you are asking for wisdom because you do not know which direction to take. Perhaps you need someone to come alongside you at exactly the right time. Maybe you are simply asking God for enough strength to make it through this season. Whatever it is, bring it before Him without shame and without fear. God is not irritated by your needs. He is not overwhelmed by the number of things you need. He does not look at your situation and say, "This is too much." The needs that feel overwhelming to you are not overwhelming to Him. Your God is not limited by a shortage of resources. He is not confused by complicated circumstances. He is not searching for a solution. He is the God who sees the beginning and the end at the same time. This is why you can call Him Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides. In Genesis 22, Abraham experienced God's provision in a moment when he could not see what would happen next. The provision appeared at the right moment. Abraham could not see it beforehand, but God could. And sometimes your provision may already be closer than you realize. There may be an opportunity forming that you have not discovered. There may be a connection God is preparing. There may be wisdom He is about to give you. There may be a change in circumstances that you cannot yet imagine. God's provision does not always arrive in the form we expect. Sometimes we pray for a financial increase, and God gives us an opportunity to work. Sometimes we ask for an open door, and God gives us wisdom to recognize the right door. Sometimes we ask Him to change our circumstances, and He first gives us peace and strength to walk through them. Sometimes He provides through another person, an unexpected conversation, a new idea, a restored relationship, or an opportunity that arrives at precisely the right time. Do not limit God by deciding beforehand what provision must look like. You can tell Him what you need while leaving the method in His hands. You can say, "Lord, this is what I am asking for, but I trust You to decide how You will provide." That kind of prayer releases the pressure from your heart. You are no longer demanding that God follow your schedule or your strategy. You are simply placing your need before Him and trusting His wisdom. Maybe you have experienced seasons when provision came in ways you never expected. Perhaps something worked out at the last possible moment. Perhaps someone unexpectedly helped you. Perhaps an opportunity appeared when you had almost stopped looking. Perhaps God gave you strength you did not know you had. Take a moment and remember those times. Your history with God can become a reminder for your present situation. The same God who carried you before has not changed. Sometimes we forget yesterday's miracles because today's problem feels louder. We remember the current pressure and forget the previous faithfulness. But today can be a moment to remember. Remember the doors God opened Remember the prayers He answered. Remember the times He protected you. Remember the moments when you thought you would not make it, and somehow you did. Remember the strength that came when you had none left. Those memories are not merely stories from your past. They are reminders of God's character. And if you are in a season where you have not yet seen the provision, do not condemn yourself for feeling tired. God understands your humanity. You can be faithful and still feel weary. You can believe and still have questions. You can trust God and still desire an answer. The goal is not to pretend that you have no concerns. The goal is to bring those concerns into God's presence, instead of allowing them to control you. Let your prayer this morning be simple. Father, you know what I need. You know what my family needs. You know what I am facing today. I surrender my needs to you. Give me wisdom to recognize the opportunities you place before me. Give me courage to take the steps you ask me to take. Give me patience when the answer requires waiting. And give me peace while you are working. There is something powerful about beginning the day with that kind of surrender. You are not saying that everything will happen exactly as you want. You are saying that whatever happens, God will remain with you. You are not saying that every challenge will disappear immediately. You are saying that you will not face those challenges alone. You are not saying that you know what tomorrow holds. You are saying that tomorrow is held by the same God who holds today. And as you go through this Tuesday, resist the temptation to let scarcity become the loudest voice in your mind. When you see what is missing, remember what God has already given. When you think about what you cannot afford, remember that God can give wisdom for stewardship and new opportunities. When you feel like there is not enough time, ask Him for wisdom and order. When you feel like your strength is running low, return to His presence. When fear says, there will never be enough, answer with faith, my Father knows what I need. Provision can also mean peace. Provision can mean wisdom. Provision can mean protection. Provision can mean strength for one more day. Provision can mean the right person entering your life at the right moment. Provision can mean being redirected away from something that would have harmed you. Provision can mean a closed door that keeps you from walking into the wrong future. Sometimes we recognize God's provision only after we look backward and understand why He led us differently. So do not judge God's goodness only by what is visible right now. Trust Him with the unseen. The answer may be developing beyond your awareness. The opportunity may be forming beyond your current perspective. The right timing may require patience. And while you wait, God can work on your heart, strengthen your faith, sharpen your wisdom, and prepare you to handle what you have been praying for. You do not have to spend this Tuesday constantly asking, what if I don't have enough? Instead, begin asking, Lord, how can I walk faithfully with what you have placed in my hands today? Be grateful for what is present while trusting Him for what is still needed. Take care of today's responsibilities. Make the phone call. Submit the application. Have the conversation. Create the plan. Do the work. Pray over the decision. And then leave room for God to move in ways that your own planning could never accomplish. The Father who feeds the birds of the air and clothes the flowers of the field has not forgotten you. Jesus used these simple pictures to remind His followers that God sees His creation and cares for it. How much more can you trust Him with your own life? Your worth is not determined by your current bank balance, your current job, your current circumstances, or the speed at which your prayers seem to be answered. Your identity is rooted in being known and loved by God. So this morning, breathe again. Let your heart become quiet. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible to God. Your needs are not hidden from Him. Your future is not outside His sight. You can ask Him boldly, wait patiently, work faithfully, and rest peacefully. You can trust that His provision may come through a path you have not considered, through a person you have not met, through an opportunity you have not imagined, or through strength He places inside you for the journey. And as you step into this Tuesday, carry this peaceful confidence with you. The God who knows every need, sees every burden, and understands every detail of your life is able to provide what is necessary for the road ahead, teaching you to trust Him, not only for the blessing you are waiting to receive, but also for the grace, wisdom, peace, and strength He is already giving you today. This morning, I want you to bring before God every door that needs to open in your life and every obstacle that has been standing in your way. You may not know exactly what needs to change, but God knows. You may have reached a point where you have tried everything you know to try, and still the situation seems unchanged. Perhaps you have prayed for a new opportunity, a financial breakthrough, restoration in your family, a better direction, or an answer that seems delayed. Whatever you are carrying today, place it gently before the Lord and trust Him with the outcome. There are moments when a closed door can make us feel forgotten. We see other people moving forward while we seem to be waiting in the same place. We watch opportunities pass, applications go unanswered, plans change, and circumstances remain difficult. In those moments, it is easy to assume that nothing is happening. But a closed door does not always mean rejection. Sometimes God closes a door because He is protecting you from something you cannot see. Sometimes He is redirecting you towards something better. Sometimes the waiting season is preparing you for an opportunity that requires a different version of you. So today, instead of asking only, "Lord, why is this door closed?" begin to pray, "Lord, show me which door you want me to walk through." That is a different kind of prayer. It releases your demand to control the outcome and opens your heart to God's direction. You may have a plan, and it is good to have plans, but allow God to guide your steps. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us to trust in the Lord rather than leaning entirely on our own understanding, and to acknowledge Him in our ways so that He can direct our paths. Maybe you are waiting for an opportunity at work. Perhaps you need a new job, a promotion, a business opportunity, or a way to use the gifts God has placed within you. Bring that desire before Him. Ask Him not only for an open door, but for the wisdom to recognize the right one. There can be doors that look attractive, but lead to unnecessary trouble. There can also be doors that initially look ordinary, but eventually become significant, because God is behind them. You do not need every door. You need the right door. Maybe your breakthrough involves your family. Perhaps there has been distance between you and someone you love. Maybe a relationship needs healing, forgiveness, or restoration. You cannot control another person's heart, but you can invite God into the situation. Ask Him to soften hearts, bring understanding, remove bitterness, and create opportunities for healthy conversation. Sometimes the breakthrough begins with one peaceful conversation. Sometimes it begins with an apology. Sometimes it begins with learning to forgive. Sometimes it begins with stepping back and allowing God to work where your own efforts cannot reach. Perhaps your obstacle is fear. You know what you should do, but you are afraid to take the first step. You have thought about making the call, submitting the application, beginning the project, asking for help, or making a necessary change. But fear keeps whispering that you will fail. This morning, remember that courage does not mean you feel no fear. Courage means you refuse to allow fear to make every decision for you. You can take a small step while your heart is still trembling. God can meet you in that step. There may also be obstacles that are completely outside your control. Circumstances you cannot change, decisions other people have made, unexpected expenses, delays, disappointments, situations that seem to have no obvious solution. These are the moments when prayer becomes more than a request for a particular result. Prayer becomes surrender. You say, Lord, I cannot control this, but you can guide me through it. I cannot change every circumstance, but you can give me wisdom for how to respond. I cannot open every door, but you can open the door that is right for me. Isaiah 22:22 gives us a powerful picture of God's authority over doors. What he opens cannot be shut, and what he shuts cannot simply be forced open. That truth can bring peace to a restless heart. You do not have to force what God has not assigned to you. You do not have to manipulate people into giving you an opportunity. You do not have to compromise your values just to get through a door. You can trust God to make a way without losing yourself in the process. Sometimes we become exhausted because we spend so much energy trying to force doors open. We push, we chase, we worry, we compare, we overthink, and we wonder why things are not happening according to our schedule. But there is a difference between faithful effort and anxious striving. Faithful effort says, I will do what God has placed in front of me. Anxious striving says, if I don't make this happen myself, everything will fall apart. You were never created to carry that second burden. God can give you divine opportunities, but he can also give you divine restraint. Sometimes the breakthrough is not an open door, but the wisdom to walk away from the wrong one. Sometimes the answer to your prayer is not acceleration, but protection. You may look back someday and thank God for the opportunity that never happened. You may realize that what felt like disappointment was actually mercy. So pray today for discernment. Ask God to make your spiritual eyes sensitive to his leading. Ask him to close doors that would pull you away from his purpose. Ask him to open doors that align with his will. Ask him to remove confusion from your mind. Ask him to give you peace when the answer is yes, and peace when the answer is no. Ask him to help you recognize the difference between your impatience and his timing. And when you pray for breakthrough, do not be afraid to pray specifically. Tell God what you need. If you need employment, tell him. If you need financial provision, tell him. If you need a relationship restored, tell him. If you need direction, tell him. If you need an opportunity, tell him. God does not need vague prayers. He already knows what is in your heart, but bringing it specifically before him helps you surrender it consciously. You can pray, Father, I place every closed door before you. If this door is not for me, give me peace to release it. If it is something you want me to pursue, give me courage and wisdom to move forward. Remove every obstacle that is not part of your purpose for my life. Open the doors that lead toward what you have prepared for me. Give me patience when I must wait, and discernment when I must move. There is a beautiful peace that comes when you stop measuring your life by someone else's progress. Perhaps someone else received the opportunity you wanted. Perhaps someone else seems financially secure while you are still waiting. Perhaps someone else's prayer appears to have been answered quickly, while yours remains unanswered. But God has not written your story according to someone else's timeline. Your journey has its own seasons. Your assignment has its own timing. Your doors will not necessarily look like their doors. Comparison can make you impatient with God's process. It can make you question your worth. It can make you feel as though you are behind. But you are not behind when you are walking with God. You may be in a preparation season. You may be in a hidden season. You may be in a rebuilding season, and a season that looks slow from the outside can be deeply productive on the inside. Remember David. Before the public victory came, there was a private season of preparation. Remember Joseph. Before he stepped into leadership, there were years he could never have imagined. Remember Moses. Before leading Israel, he spent years in the wilderness. God's preparation often happens in places where nobody is applauding. Do not despise the quiet season. God can use it to strengthen your character, deepen your faith, and prepare you for the responsibility connected to the door you are asking Him to open. If you are praying for a breakthrough today, ask God to prepare you for it as well. If you are asking for financial increase, ask Him for wisdom to manage it. If you are asking for influence, ask Him for humility. If you are asking for a new opportunity, ask Him for discipline. If you are asking for restoration, ask Him for grace to communicate differently. If you are asking for a new season, ask Him to prepare your heart to walk responsibly in it. And while you wait for the door to open, remain faithful where you are. Do not stop doing good simply because you have not yet received what you are praying for. Continue praying, continue working, continue learning, continue serving. Continue treating people with kindness. Continue honoring God in the ordinary places. Sometimes the next door opens because of the faithfulness you practiced highest in the room you thought was temporary. This Tuesday morning, let your prayer be peaceful rather than desperate. You do not have to beg God as though He is unwilling to help you. Come as a beloved child. Tell Him what you need. Tell Him what you desire. Tell Him what scares you. Then surrender the outcome. Ask for breakthrough, but also ask for God's will. Ask for open doors, but also ask for protection. Ask for favor, but also ask for wisdom. Ask for provision, but also ask for contentment and stewardship. There is a way forward even when you cannot see it yet. There is a possibility beyond the obstacle. There is another step beyond the place where you are standing. And if God is asking you to wait, then there is purpose in the waiting. If He is asking you to move, He will give you grace to move. If He is asking you to release something, He can give you peace to release it. If He is opening something new, He can give you courage to enter it. So today, don't force the door. Don't surrender to fear. Don't let disappointment convince you that God has forgotten you. Place your plans, your opportunities, your unanswered questions, and your dreams before Him. Trust Him to remove what needs to be removed, redirect what needs to be redirected, and open what needs to be opened. Let your heart remain calm as you walk forward, knowing that the God who goes before you can make a path where you see only an obstacle, and that even when you cannot yet recognize the answer, you can remain attentive to His leading, peaceful in His presence, and confident that He is able to guide your steps toward the breakthrough, favor, and provision He knows you need today. As you begin this Tuesday morning, take a quiet moment and place every decision, every conversation, every responsibility, and every unknown part of your day into the hands of God. You may have plans for today, but you do not know everything that will happen between this morning and tonight. You do not know every conversation you will have, every opportunity you will encounter, or every decision you may need to make. But God already sees the entire day. He knows what is ahead of you, and He is able to give you the wisdom, favor, and guidance you need for every step. There is a special kind of peace that comes when you stop trying to predict everything and begin trusting God to lead you. You do not have to know exactly how today will unfold. You only need to know that you are not walking through it alone. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all our heart, not to depend completely on our own understanding, and to acknowledge Him in all our ways. When we do that, He promises to direct our paths. That means you can invite God into the ordinary details of this Tuesday, not just the major decisions. Before you respond to that message, ask God for wisdom. Before you make that financial decision, ask God for wisdom. Before you enter that meeting, ask God for wisdom. Before you have that difficult conversation, ask God for wisdom. Before you say yes to an opportunity, ask God for wisdom. Before you say no, ask God for wisdom. A peaceful prayer before a decision can save you from many unnecessary regrets, because God sees what you cannot see. There are moments when we make decisions based only on what looks good in front of us. Something appears profitable, exciting, convenient, or attractive, so we immediately want it. But God sees beyond appearances. He knows where a decision will lead. He knows the people involved. He knows the consequences that may come months or even years later. That is why divine wisdom is more valuable than simple human knowledge. Knowledge tells you what something is. Wisdom helps you understand what to do with what you know. This morning, ask God to give you discernment. Ask Him to help you recognize what is from Him and what is simply appealing to your emotions. Not every opportunity is an assignment. Not every open door is a door you should enter. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every invitation requires your acceptance. There are times when the most spiritual thing you can do is pause and pray before responding. Sometimes we are in such a hurry to move forward that we forget to ask whether God is actually leading us there. We become excited about possibilities and begin planning before seeking direction. But there is no need to rush what God has not asked you to rush. If something is truly right for you, you do not have to destroy your peace to obtain it. You can take your time. You can seek counsel. You can pray. You can examine the situation carefully and wait for clarity. God's favor is also something you can pray over your day. Favor does not simply mean that everything will be easy. Favor means that God can cause the right things to align according to His purpose. He can give you grace in conversations. He can give you favor with people. He can give you opportunities you could not create for yourself. He can cause someone to notice your work. He can give you the right words at the right moment. He can create connections that become important later. Think about Joseph. Even in difficult circumstances, God's presence was with him and favor followed him. His surroundings changed, but God's hand upon his life did not disappear. That is important for you today. Favor is not dependent on perfect circumstances. You can experience God's grace even while you are walking through uncertainty. You can have peace in a difficult environment. You can have wisdom in a confusing situation. You can have strength in a demanding season. Perhaps you are entering a workplace today where you have been feeling overlooked. Maybe you are surrounded by people who do not understand you. Maybe you are dealing with a supervisor, coworker, client, or business situation that requires patience. Ask God to go before you. Ask Him to give you favor without compromising your character. Ask Him to help you work with excellence while keeping your heart free from resentment. Let God handle what you cannot control. Maybe you are going to have a conversation with someone you love. You know the conversation matters, but you are worried about saying the wrong thing. Ask God to guide your words. James 1-5 tells us that if anyone lacks wisdom, they should ask God, who gives generously. What a beautiful invitation. God does not shame you for needing wisdom. He invites you to ask for it. You can pray, Lord, give me the right words. Help me speak with truth and grace. Keep anger away from my voice. Help me listen before I answer. Give me patience when I feel misunderstood. Let my words bring peace, rather than unnecessary conflict. Imagine how different your day can become when you begin conversations from that posture. Guidance also means allowing God to redirect you. Sometimes we ask God to bless our plans, but we forget to ask whether our plans are aligned with His will. True surrender says, "Lord, if I am going in the wrong direction, stop me. If I am walking towards something that will harm me, redirect me. If I am holding on to something you are asking me to release, give me courage to let it go." That prayer requires humility, because we do not always want to be redirected. We may have become emotionally attached to a particular outcome. We may have spent months planning something. We may have already told everyone what we intend to do. But if God shows us another path, obedience is more important than pride. A changed direction is not necessarily a failed plan. Sometimes it is evidence that God is protecting and leading you. There will also be moments today when you feel pressure to respond quickly. Someone may ask you a question. An opportunity may appear. A problem may arise unexpectedly. Your emotions may rise. In those moments, remember that you can pause, you can breathe, you can pray silently. You can say, "Lord, help me." You do not have to respond from panic. You can respond from peace. Imagine carrying God's presence into every room you enter today. Before you walk into your workplace, invite Him in. Before you speak with your family, invite Him in. Before you handle your responsibilities, invite Him in. Before you make a purchase, invite Him in. Before you make a major decision, invite Him in. There is no part of your day too ordinary for God. And as you ask for favor, remember that God's favor is not merely about receiving something. It is also about becoming someone who carries His character into the places He sends you. Ask Him to make you trustworthy, patient, honest, compassionate, disciplined, and wise. Ask Him to make your life a blessing to others. Ask Him to help you represent Him well when people are watching and when no one is watching. Sometimes the greatest favor God gives us is the ability to remain peaceful when everyone around us is anxious. Sometimes it is the strength to walk away from gossip. Sometimes it is the wisdom not to answer an insult. Sometimes it is the courage to tell the truth. Sometimes it is the discipline to say no to something that would take you away from your purpose. God's favor can shape your character just as much as it can change your circumstances. If you are facing an important decision today, do not be afraid to pray specifically. Say, "Father, I need your guidance. Close the wrong doors and make the right path clear. Protect me from decisions made out of fear, pride, impatience, or pressure. Give me wisdom to understand what I should do and courage to follow through when you make the direction clear." And if clarity does not come immediately, do not assume that God has ignored you. Sometimes guidance comes gradually. Sometimes God gives you enough understanding for the next step, but not the next 10 steps. Again, the purpose is not always to show you the entire road. The purpose is to teach you to walk closely with Him. As you move through this Tuesday, keep your heart sensitive. Pay attention to peace. Pay attention to wisdom. Pay attention to repeated confirmations, godly counsel, scripture, and the character of the opportunity in front of you. Do not build your entire decision on one emotion or one coincidence. Seek God carefully. Test what you hear. Give yourself permission to wait when you need more clarity. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to pray before deciding. You are allowed to say, "Let me think about it." You are allowed to seek wise counsel. You are allowed to walk away from what does not bring peace or align with your values. You are allowed to trust that God can bring another opportunity if this one is not right. Today, ask God to go before you in every place you enter. Ask Him to prepare the way. Ask Him to give you favor with the right people and distance from relationships that would pull you away from His purpose. Ask Him to guard your mind from confusion and your heart from fear. Ask Him to guide your finances, your work, your relationships, your conversations, and your choices. And when you reach the end of this Tuesday, you may look back and recognize moments where God's guidance protected you. Moments where His favor opened something unexpected. Moments where His wisdom gave you the right words. And moments where His peace kept you from making a decision you would have regretted. Because the God who guides your steps is not only concerned about where you arrive, but also about who you become while He is leading you there. So walk gently today, without rushing ahead of God, without looking behind you with regret, and without carrying tomorrow's uncertainties in today's heart, trusting that every step you place into His hands can be guided by His wisdom, strengthened by His grace, surrounded by His favor, and quietly directed toward the purpose He has prepared for you. This morning, I want you to settle your heart in one simple truth. God is making a way for you, even when you cannot yet see it. You may look at your circumstances and wonder how anything can change. You may have prayed for a breakthrough, waited for an answer, and still see the same situation in front of you. But your current view is not the complete picture. God sees what you cannot see, knows what you do not know, and is able to work in places you cannot reach. Sometimes faith means standing quietly while God works. You do not have to force every door open. You do not have to figure out every detail. You do not have to carry the responsibility of making everything happen. Your part is to trust Him, remain faithful, and take the steps He gives you. Isaiah 43:19 says, "I am making a way in the wilderness." That promise reminds us that God specializes in creating paths where there seems to be no path. Maybe today you are believing for financial provision. Maybe you need an unexpected opportunity, a new source of income, or help with a responsibility that has been weighing on your heart. Bring that need before God without fear. He knows exactly what you need. Ask Him for wisdom, discipline, favor, and provision. Then continue doing what you can while trusting Him with what you cannot control. Maybe your breakthrough is connected to your family. Perhaps you are praying for restoration, peace, forgiveness, or a relationship to change. Continue to believe that God can touch hearts in ways you cannot. You cannot control another person's response, but you can keep your heart surrendered to God. Pray for wisdom in your words, patience in your actions, and grace to respond differently than you may have responded before. Perhaps you are believing for an open door in your career, business, ministry, or future. Do not become discouraged because someone else's door opened before yours. God has a timing for your life that does not need to be compared with anyone else's. Keep preparing, keep learning, keep praying, keep showing up faithfully. The door God opens for you will not require you to become someone you were never created to be. And when the breakthrough finally comes, remember the God who brought you through the waiting season. Give Him the glory. Let the testimony remind you that the waiting was not wasted. Every prayer strengthened your faith. Every difficult day taught you endurance. Every unanswered question invited you to trust more deeply. Every moment when you could not see the way forward became an opportunity to discover that God was still near. So as you move through this Tuesday, carry peace instead of panic. When you encounter an obstacle, pray. When you face uncertainty, trust. When you receive an opportunity, seek God's wisdom. When a door closes, do not assume the story is over. When a door opens, enter with humility. When you feel tired, return to His presence. You may not know what God is arranging today, but you can trust His heart. He is able to make a way through the wilderness, bring provision where there is lack, create opportunities where there were none, and give you strength for every step. Let your faith become quiet and steady, not because you know exactly what tomorrow will bring, but because you know that the one who holds tomorrow is already walking ahead of you. And with that peaceful confidence, continue into this day, knowing that God is not finished with your story. His grace is still sufficient. His hand is still upon you. And the path that seems impossible from where you are standing can become clear one faithful step at a time.